So with that, I'll hand the floor over to Alain Zarli of the European Construction Technology Platform, who will talk further about the EU vision for the built environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom, for the introduction, and a warm welcome to all of you. Very nice to see you here this morning. I'm Alain Zarli, I'm Secretary General of ECTP, so as you can imagine, I'm not going to talk on behalf of the European Commission, that's for sure, and I don't have probably the pretension to give you a comprehensive vision of the European Union for the built environment. But what is important, what I have considered important in these cases, maybe to pinpoint some key aspects related in particular to regulations, to directives, and also to initiatives from the European Commission, which in some way demonstrate that what we have been developing over the past 5 or even 10 years, I would say, because we started with Germain, with Tom, with some others, with Emery, with some others, already 10 years ago, that what we have developed is indeed instrumental with respect to the construction sector to meet indeed the expectations of the European Union. It's not only about the European Commission, and we are not here to please the European Commission. We are indeed here to meet the expectations of the European Union. And as such, there are indeed key challenges for the construction sector. And for all those stakeholders who are involved most of the time in their daily business, you know, and we need indeed to support these ecosystems of construction stakeholders throughout Europe to better indeed integrate and be aware about those expectations from the European Union. And this is a reason why we have indeed developed those technology clusters, construction technology clusters, Build for People innovation clusters, OITBs, also digital innovation hubs as well. All those are going to be services that will serve and help the whole ecosystem in Europe as far as the construction industry is concerned. Just taking one example that probably most of you know, the EPBD, which is targeting indeed all the aspects, basically all the aspects of energy efficiency and energy performance. There is a clear path which has been defined by the European, I'm not getting into the details of each and every point, but there is a clear path that has been defined by the European Commission with respect to this EPBD. And by the way, moving from only considering energy and CO2 to move to all the aspects indeed of resource efficiency, not only energy efficiency, and also in relationship with all the aspects of greenhouse gases. And you have this notion, which is very, very important, which has been recently introduced, which is this global warming potential, which measure indeed the impact of greenhouse gases in climate change and heating compared to CO2. So the idea is really the capacity related to the capacity of greenhouse gases to store heat in the atmosphere. And what is expected in the future by the European Union is that we, as construction stakeholder and built environment stakeholder, will be able to provide all the appropriate data that will allow to compute this this global warming potential. And it's not only indeed about CO2. So this is something which is very important, and you can see that there are clear deadlines here related in particular to public buildings and to all new buildings. Renovation, of course, is to be included, but we know that this will have, of course, to follow probably a step-by-step approach. So this is something which is very, very important, and this global warming potential will have in the future to be disclosed in building a performance certificate. So this is, for instance, the first key point, which is very, very important. So EPBD, of course, is a key directive for the construction sector. Another key directive, of course, is indeed the construction product regulation directive. And I would like to take one example in this one. In the previous one, there were, for instance, consideration for the building logbooks, digital building logbooks, and in this one in particular, we have the digital product passport. So what is a digital product passport? Just a digital instrument for products, components, and materials that will be indeed that will contain all data relevant information to support sustainability, circularity, and also to deal with legal compliance. All this registered with the governing authority. And that's something which is very, very important, because collecting and storing all those data will allow us, of course, to do also quite a lot of simulation, and in the future to have, for instance, new types of algorithm to improve indeed all the characteristics of our building. So indeed, it is planned, and there is once again a clear plan to do so. But what is very important in that case is this aspect of machine readable, and also the fact that there should be interoperability between all services leveraging on the DPP. So we see that this also put the stress on a comprehensive and more digitalization of our sector. If we think about a little bit more the future, you know that in the context of Horizon Europe, once again, the focus was fundamentally, in particular for the construction and built environment sector, on energy efficiency, decarbonization, and already including aspects related to circularity. And that was indeed the key elements of the European Green Deal. The European Green Deal is still considered, of course, by the European Commission. But there is a new element now in it, which is that you probably, all of you, or at least most of you, have heard about this famous report which has been written by Draghi about competitiveness of the European industry. And this is indeed exactly where we stand. There is a need to consider now the European Green Deal in a more global context of European competitiveness. And this is also true, of course, for all the industrialists, for all the SMEs, for all the contractors, the companies involved in the built environment. So indeed, the European Commission has developed a first joint roadmap, both on decarbonization and competitiveness for Europe. It's not only for the construction sector, of course, it's for the whole European industry, for the European industry as a whole. But of course, the construction sector is one of those key industries which are indeed considered. And this roadmap is identifying 6 major barriers. And when I read recently those barriers, I feel very, very happy. And I do believe at that time, I started to really believe at that time that we were right 10 years ago. And we started to walk all together on the right path. Why? It's about those 6 major barriers are affordable energy, which means, of course, how are we going to integrate new energy, new types of energy, but dealing also with lower clean energy prices. And indeed, the CID, the Clean Industrial Deal of the European Commission, includes several elements related to buildings. For instance, revised heating and cooling strategy by early 2026. Geothermal action plan related also to the built environment, and the plan will be delivered in 2026. And the use, indeed, of artificial intelligence to improve and to optimize, indeed, the energy and the resource efficiency in the built environment. So that's the first point. A second point is indeed the clean tech, clean products. We anticipate for the time being that, of course, when you deal with innovation, you have new products. Those products, even if they move from prototype level to indeed new product ready to go to the market, they are new, so there is not yet a mass market, if I may say. Though in general, they are more expensive. So there is a need to develop indeed a green market that would help, of course, those products to go to the market and decrease the cost of this clean technology, in particular for the construction sector. So this is something which is very, very important. Circularity and material security. Europe intends to improve, indeed, the access to raw materials. You all are aware that we may at all time face, of course, a lack of those kind of raw materials. So we want to, of course, increase the access to raw material, but we want, of course, to be able to deal with more circularity with our materials. So there is there should be a Circular Economy Act, which is planned to be delivered in 2026. And just have a look at the goal, which is, I would say, a short-term goal, by the way. This is, of course, a goal which is indeed to have at least, I would say, nearly a quarter of those materials in use by 2030, which are circular. Fourth challenge, yes, and I will conclude on that. Fourth challenge, maybe the most important for us. The European Commission has identified indeed global partnership, supply chain diversification, value chain evolution as a key asset to achieve the objectives that they have in their various indeed directives in initiatives. And so this is where indeed we are here to present to you this morning what we have developed already and what are our plans for the future in order to support innovation value chains and in turn supply chains on the market in order to improve the overall process of the construction sector. So what I wanted, and I would like just to conclude with that, what I wanted to stress is that we are fully aligned not only with what was the expectations from the European Commission at the start of Horizon Europe, but indeed we anticipated what the European Commission is expecting now in relationship with this clean industrial deal. So let's hope for a better future, in particular for the construction sector and the built environment. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.